Hello, my name is Shalisa Contreras, and today I will be talking about the process of harvesting and using natural clay for pottery. Imagine holding a piece of pottery that you've crafted from the very earth beneath your feet. My journey into pottery began with a simple hike, where I discovered the rich, malleable clay that would soon become my first creation. Today, I will guide you through the fascinating journey of harvesting natural clay and transforming it into beautiful pottery, blending nature and creativity into one timeless craft. Now, moving on to finding and harvesting natural clay. Natural clay can be found in areas with exposed soil, such as riverbanks, stream beds, construction sites, or even eroded hillsides. What you want to look for, and here are the specific indicators, are clay rich soil is typically dense, smooth when wet, and has a very distinctive earthy smell. Some might dismiss crumbly dirt for clay. However, you can tell if it's clay if you sprinkle a bit of water on it and it turns into a Play-Doh-ish consistency. That's when you know you've hit the gold. It may also appear in color ranges from white, red, brown, blue. It honestly just depends on the minerals present in the clay. Here are some tools and equipment needed for harvesting. Basic tools include a sturdy shovel, buckets for collecting the clay, gloves to protect your hands, and sieves to help better filter out larger debris. For larger projects, you would typically use a wheelbarrow, trowels, and protective clothing. Once you locate a suitable deposit, dig down to remove the top layer of soil and extract the rich clay layer beneath. You want to gather the clay into your buckets, ensuring to take only what you need, and you want to leave the area as undisturbed as possible to practice ethical and sustainable harvesting. After collecting the clay, it needs to be purified to remove impurities such as stones, rocks, and debris. One method is slacking, which is breaking the clay into small pieces, soaking them in water, and allowing the clay to settle at the bottom. Pour off the water and repeat until the clay is clean. Alternatively, you can also use sieves to filter out the larger particles. And when it comes to drying and storing clay, you want to spread the clay on a flat surface to dry. The drying process can take several days, but it depends on the climate and humidity. You want to typically keep the clay in a cool area away from the sun, just to prevent any premature drying. Once it's dry, you want to make sure it's also wrapped in plastic to keep it from drying out completely. And before using the clay for pottery, it needs to be wedged to remove any of the air bubbles to ensure for a very consistent and uniform texture. Wedging involves kneading the clay repeatedly until it reaches a smooth, consistent state. This step is crucial to prevent cracking and explosion during the firing process. It'll make your life a whole lot easier if you follow this crucial step. Trust me, it's worth it in the end. What are the tools and equipment used for pottery? Well, some of the basic tools include a pottery wheel for throwing the pots, sculpting tools for shaping and detailing, and a kiln for the firing finished pieces. Additional tools such as rolling pins, cutting wires, sponges can also be useful but aren't typically essential for beginners. As for basic pottery techniques, you can use the building technique, such as using your fingers to pinch the pots and shape the clay, coil building, which is stacking and joining rolls of clay together, and slab construction, which is rolling out the flat pieces of clay and assembling them. These are all fundamental methods, and I highly suggest if you decide to try this out that you use one of those three methods. Wheel throwing is also another technique that involves shaping the clay into a rotating pottery wheel. This requires the skill and master. However, you can basically get it down in a few days. As for the designing and decorating, adding texture and designs can be done using a variety of tools and techniques, such as carving, stamping, and pressing patterns into the clay. And when it comes to glazes, you can add any color to your finished pottery. Let's find a better understanding for the firing process. Pottery needs to be fired in a kiln to harden and set the clay. The first firing, called the bisque firing, turns the clay into a ceramic material. After bisque firing, glazes are applied and the pottery undergoes a second firing to melt and set the glaze. Here are some safety tips now that we're talking about hot firing processes. Here's some safety tips. Always follow and allow for the safety guidelines when operating a kiln. That includes using proper ventilation, and make sure there's a window near because it gets very steamy. So you want that proper ventilation. And wearing protective gear to prevent any burns or just inhalations of any fumes as well. Harvesting and using natural clay for pottery involves finding and collecting clay, processing and preparing it, shaping and decorating your pieces, and finally firing them into create a durable and beautiful pottery. Crafting pottery from natural clay is a rewarding experience that connects you to earth and allows your creativity to flourish. I encourage you to explore the process of natural clay harvesting and pottery making. Take a pottery class to experience the joy of creating something uniquely yours. Thank you, and I hope you guys have a great day.